Rejection, the one word that crushes dreams, breaks hearts, and makes you question everything. But what if I told you, you were not rejected, you were redirected, you didn't lose, you were led? If you've ever faced rejection that made you question your worth, if you've ever cried over a door that wouldn't open, then this message is for you. Like, share, and subscribe so this story reaches someone else who needs to hear it too. They didn't choose you. They said no. They passed you over. They walked away. And you stood there, confused, heartbroken, and convinced you weren't enough. But what if that closed door wasn't a punishment? What if it was protection? What if the thing you were praying for would have destroyed you? What if the opportunity that slipped away wasn't aligned with your destiny? You thought rejection was the end, but rejection was just the beginning. Because here's the truth, every time life says no, it's not denying you, it's directing you. Every person who leaves is making space for someone better. Every job you didn't get is opening a path to the one meant for you. You weren't being abandoned, you were being positioned. See, when we're in pain, we don't see clearly. We think the loss is our fault. We think the delay means defeat. We think rejection means we're unworthy. But the universe doesn't subtract, it reroutes. And the version of you that's coming out of this? Oh, that version will be unstoppable. Because pain makes you precise. Rejection sharpens your purpose. And silence teaches you to speak louder within yourself. The world may not see your value yet, but rejection is refining you for the moment it will. It's the fire before the rise, the quiet before the storm, the training ground before the spotlight, because destiny doesn't chase comfort, and your future doesn't care about your temporary emotions. The person you're becoming, they needed that rejection. They needed that heartbreak. They needed to learn what it's like to stand alone and still rise. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. Prepared to lead, prepared to shine, prepared to walk into rooms you once only dreamed of. But you can't take everyone with you, and you can't carry the weight of old versions into new seasons. So the door had to shut, they had to walk away, the job had to fall through. Not because you weren't enough, but because what's coming requires more. More clarity, more strength, more hunger, and you're building that now. With every tear you cry, with every deep breath you take before trying again, with every step you choose to take forward. When going back would be easier, this is your rerouting season, your refining chapter, your quiet transformation. And while no one's watching, while no one is clapping, while no one understands, you're becoming. So next time you're rejected, smile, say thank you, and keep walking. Because rejection didn't break you, it built you. And one day soon, you'll look back and say, I wasn't rejected, I was redirected toward everything I ever dreamed of. But let me tell you something even deeper. The world will always try to define you by what broke you, but your destiny is defined by what you built from the pieces. People will say, wasn't that the person who failed? Isn't that the one who was left behind? Didn't they lose everything? And they'll be right, but they'll also be blind, because what they didn't see was what came after. They didn't see the nights you cried, but kept reading books about growth. They didn't see the mornings you could barely breathe, but still prayed for strength. They didn't see the hours you spent in silence, healing, hurting, and hoping, all at once. You didn't just survive the storm, you became it. And that's the version of you they're not ready for. Because the new you doesn't beg for permission. The new you doesn't explain your worth. The new you doesn't apologize for the light you carry just because others feel small in its glow. The new you walks differently because pain taught you something schools never could. That your power was never outside of you. Not in a title, not in applause, not in relationships or resumes. Your power was in your choice. The choice to keep going when everything said stop. The choice to believe when nothing made sense. The choice to forgive so you could be free. The choice to love again. Not because they deserved it, but because you did. You deserved peace, you deserved healing. You deserve to feel whole, even after being shattered. And that's what you've been doing. Piece by piece, breath by breath. You've been rising. Slowly, maybe, quietly, definitely. But make no mistake, you are rising. And one day they'll ask you, how did you do it? How did you come back from that heartbreak? How did you recover from that loss? How did you find strength in the middle of despair? And you'll look at them, smile gently and say, I stopped waiting for the world to save me and decided to save myself. Because here's the truth. No one is coming to fix your life. No mentor, no partner, no job, no quote on Instagram. They can inspire you. They can support you, but only you can decide. And the moment you do, the moment you say, I refuse to stay broken, that's when everything begins to shift. Not outside, but inside. Your perspective changes, your habits evolve, your circle shrinks, your focus sharpens. You stop chasing approval, you stop needing permission, you stop explaining your dreams to people committed to misunderstanding you. Because now you know, this life isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about honoring the younger version of you who still believed it was possible. It's about becoming the person your pain tried to bury. It's about using your story, not to impress, but to impact. So the next time life says no, the next time they walk away, the next time the door closes in your face, don't ask why me. Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Because pain doesn't visit without purpose. It's a messenger. Sometimes it comes gentle, sometimes it shouts, but it's always pointing to something within you, something sleeping, something the world tried to numb. Your fire, your voice, your calling. And now it's waking up. It's waking up, and it doesn't need permission anymore. Because once you've danced with darkness, once you've faced your worst fears, once you've held your own broken pieces and decided they were still beautiful, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not rejection, not even fear. Because fear doesn't rule you anymore. You've walked through it. You've touched the edge of despair, and you didn't fall. You built wings, wings made of tears, of silence, of grit, of grace. And now you fly, not away from your past, but because of it. Not to escape your pain, but because your pain gave you a reason to rise. So rise. Even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, even if your path is lonely, rise because you're not the same anymore. And that's a good thing. You've been reborn, not in the way that's loud or celebrated, but in the quiet way, the sacred way, in the way that happens when no one's watching, when you're curled up in pain, whispering to yourself, this is not how my story ends. And because you chose to keep going, you discovered something rare. You discovered your edge, the place where most people give up, but you didn't. You stayed, you breathed, you believed. And that belief is what changed everything. Because pain wasn't the end of your path, it was the beginning of your becoming. You see, diamonds aren't born in comfort, legends aren't shaped in safety, and warriors, they're not built in victory. They're built in loss, in heartbreak, in silence, in every moment when nobody came, and you stood up anyway. And that's you. You are becoming a warrior, not with weapons, but with wisdom. Not by fighting the world, but by making peace with yourself. You're learning that you don't have to chase anything anymore. Not love, not success, not validation. You are already enough. The pain wasn't proof of your weakness. It was the furnace that revealed your strength. The tears, they weren't signs of failure. They were evidence that you still care, that even after being hurt, you haven't hardened. You haven't become bitter. You haven't shut down your heart. You still hope. You still love. You still dream. And that's power. Because in a world that numbs and runs and distracts, you feel, you stay, you rise. You've become the kind of person who doesn't just go through pain, you grow through it. The kind of person who turns scars into stories. wounds into wisdom, pain into purpose. And now the world feels different. Not because it changed, but because you did. You walk into rooms differently now, not needing attention, not needing approval, just presence, just peace. Because you've made peace with the parts of yourself you used to hide, the parts you used to hate, the parts you thought made you unworthy, but now you wear them like armor, not to protect you, but to remind you of what you've survived, of how far you've come, of what you were born to do. And now that you've tasted this strength, this truth, there's no going back. You can't unsee your power. You can't pretend to be small. You can't go back to sleep. Not when you've finally woken up. Woken up to yourself. Not the version shaped by expectations. Not the mask worn to please others. Not the watered-down dream approved by society, but the real you, the raw you, the scarred you, the beautiful, relentless, unbreakable you. And now that you've found that version, there's only one thing left to do. Live like it. Live like you've already been through the fire. Live like you've already faced your demons. Live like your pain wasn't in vain, because it wasn't. Everything you've endured, every betrayal, every failure, every lonely night, it all brought you here, to this moment, to this new chapter, to this version of you that doesn't beg, doesn't shrink, doesn't settle. And the world will notice. Not because you'll be the loudest in the room, but because your presence will speak louder than your words ever could. Because real power doesn't shout, it radiates. So walk forward now, not because it's easy, but because you're ready. Ready to build, ready to rise, ready to lead, not others, but yourself. You've been the victim. You've been the warrior. Now, be the visionary, the one who sees light, even in the dark, the one who says, I don't know how, but I know why, and that's enough. The one who turns every no into fuel, every setback into strategy, every scar into strength. Because you've learned the truth that most people miss. Your pain wasn't sent to destroy you, it was sent to wake you up. So now the question is, what will you do with this awakening? You've felt the fire, you've walked through the storm, you've rebuilt yourself from pieces they thought were useless. So what now? You rise. You rise into your potential, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because now you're not waiting for the perfect moment, you're creating it. You're not asking for permission. You're giving yourself the green light. And most of all, you're no longer looking outside for validation. Because everything you've been searching for, the peace, the power, the purpose, it's already inside you. You just needed pain to break the shell that was hiding it. And now that you've seen your light, you can never unsee it again. You used to think your pain made you different, that it made you damaged, that it made you less. But now you understand. Your pain made you deep. It gave you vision. It gave you empathy. It gave you a voice that others don't have. Because you've been where they are. You've felt the loneliness. You've questioned your worth. You've battled the darkness. And you survived. And now every time you speak your truth, you don't just inspire, you ignite. You wake people up, because you're not talking about theory. You're not quoting from books. You're speaking from battle scars, from nights spent crying on the bathroom floor, from mornings when your only victory was simply getting up. And that truth, that realness, it's rare, it's raw, it's revolutionary. So don't hold back anymore. Don't dull your shine to keep others comfortable. Don't play small just because they expect you to. You were not meant for average. You were not built for silence. You were not born to survive. You were born to lead, not by title, but by example, by being the proof that pain doesn't end you, it awakens you. That rock bottom isn't a grave, it's a foundation. That broken isn't the opposite of whole, it's the beginning of becoming. And now that you've become, now that you've seen the other side, it's time to stop surviving and start living. Living boldly, living fearlessly, living awake. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Pain wakes up the part of you that comfort put to sleep. And now that you're awake, you can never go back to who you were. You don't want the shallow victories. You don't care for fake friends. You don't chase applause or popularity. You chase truth. You chase growth. You chase the version of yourself that only pain could introduce you to. And that version doesn't need to be liked. It needs to be free. Free to say no without guilt. Free to say yes without fear. Free to walk away from anything that doesn't feel right, even if you once begged for it. Because now you trust yourself. You trust the voice inside. You trust your process. You trust the power that pain built within you. And yes, people might say you've changed. But that's the point. You have changed. You're no longer the version of you who tolerated nonsense, who betrayed your boundaries, who stayed silent just to keep the peace. You've upgraded, you've evolved. And every scar on your soul is just a reminder that you are no longer who the world tried to make you. You are who pain revealed you to be. So hold your head high, walk with calm confidence, speak with grounded wisdom, and remember, the fire you walked through didn't burn you, it forged you. You are not here to be normal. You are not here to fit in. You are here to rise again and again until your life becomes a testament, a living, breathing reminder that pain wasn't your ending. It was your awakening. So the next time life breaks you, the next time you fall to your knees wondering why this is happening again, remember this moment. Remember who you became because of pain, and remind yourself you've been here before, and you didn't just survive. You transformed. You learned to sit in the fire until it burned away what was fake. You learned to stand in the silence until your real voice spoke. You learned to stop begging the world to understand you and started understanding yourself. That's your gift now. You are no longer afraid of the storm because you've become it. Not the storm that destroys, but the one that cleanses, the one that comes in strong, loud, wild, and leaves the world reborn. That's you now. Every step you take is laced with the wisdom of someone who has seen darkness and chose light anyway. Every breath you take is sacred because you once thought you'd never make it this far. Every dream you chase now is real because it's no longer coming from fear or ego or emptiness. It's coming from purpose, a deep, unshakable purpose that was forged in your most painful moments. So don't ever let anyone tell you you're too much, too intense, too serious, too emotional, too broken, because what they're really saying is they haven't walked through what you've walked through. They haven't faced what you've faced. They haven't felt what you've felt. You are not too much. You are finally enough for the life you were meant to live. You are the product of battles won in silence, of choices made without applause, of strength developed in the dark. And now, you're walking in the light, not the fake kind, not spotlight, not clout, not empty praise, but the real kind, the kind that comes from being aligned with who you really are, the kind that doesn't need to be seen to shine. And that light, it changes everything. It heals rooms when you enter. It calms storms just by your presence. It shows others what's possible, not because you told them, but because you became it. So this is your calling now, not just to rise, but to reach back for those still drowning, to reach out to those still afraid, to show them, not with your words, but with your life, that pain is not a prison. It's a portal. It's the doorway to the real you, the warrior, the leader, the creator, the healer, the one who's not perfect, but authentic, not fearless, but brave. And when they ask you how you made it, you won't tell them it was easy. You'll tell them it was worth it. Because the truth is, you didn't need pain to destroy you. You needed pain to wake you up. And now that you're awake, don't go back to sleep. Stay alert. Stay grounded. Stay open. Let your life become a living example of what happens when you refuse to quit. Let your scars become the roadmap someone else needs. Let your truth become the fire that lights another soul on fire. Because you, yes, you are proof that pain can't stop purpose, that broken doesn't mean over, That rock bottom is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming who you were always meant to be. So when you look in the mirror, don't just see the pain, see the power to stand, to rebuild, to speak, to lead. Because your pain didn't come to destroy you, it came to wake you up.